Hey listeners, it's Kara, your host. After 176 amazing episodes and hundreds of book recommendations, I wanted to make it a little bit easier for you to find your next great read. The Bookish Flights Roadmap is your guide to all 175 podcast episodes, sorted by genre so you can quickly find the stories that fit your reading mood. From picture books to adult novels and everything in between, it's the perfect way to explore past episodes and discover new favorites. You can find your copy of the Bookish Flights Roadmap at www.bookishflights.com/read/roadmap, or just click the link in the show notes. Hi, I'm Kara Infante, and this is Bookish Flights, a podcast where we tell our stories through our favorite books. Each episode features a bookish guest where we will talk about reading, life, and the seasons we're in, all through a thoughtfully paired book flight of recommendations for you. If you're looking for meaningful book recommendations and a space to slow down, you're in the right place. Today's guest is truly one of the authors who helped define childhood reading for so many of us. Kate DiCamillo is the beloved author of countless books for young readers, including Because of Winn-Dixie, The Tale of Despereaux, The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane, Flora and Ulysses, and the wonderfully charming Mercy Watson series. Her work has received some of the highest honors in children's literature, and she is a national ambassador for young people's literature appointed by the Library of Congress. But beyond the awards, Kate's stories have become part of family reading lives. They are the kind of books passed hand to hand, read aloud late at night, revisited years later, and remembered long after childhood. And this year marks the 20th anniversary of The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane, with a gorgeous collector's edition releasing this fall. Welcome to the show, Kate.
That's a beautiful introduction. It made me tear up a little bit.
Oh,
yeah,
yay.
Thank you for it's one of those things where I feel like I'm so lucky to get to do this for a living, but I don't look at the big picture, and that just that was very moving. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, well, I am so honored. The ironic part of all of this is I homeschool my children. And when the email came in, we're actually reading Because of Winn-Dixie right now with my kiddos. And so I was like, what are the odds that this would come in at the same time we are doing this as our read aloud for school right now?
Oh, that's very fun. So tell those kids hello.
I will. They are so excited. We've already stormed through Mercy Watson. We've read Edward Tulane. I mean, so it was Winn-Dixie was up next. So we have read a lot in our house. I feel like we're so much more than these bios here and more than a writer. So tell us a little bit about who you are.
I'm just, as you were talking, I was thinking about that thing of being, even though I'm not there, I'm there with y'all as you were doing that, So,
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm supposed to tell you who I am. Let's see. I am, if you asked me to define myself and who I am in the world, the first word that I would use is reader. I am a reader. That's how I understood who I was when I was a kid, and that is still how I operate in the world as an adult. It's what makes me, it's what centers me. And I don't know how you read, but this is my reward for getting up early and writing and doing my work day is like around 3 o'clock. I will turn everything off, put the terrible magic box, the phone far away, and on airplane, right?
Yeah.
So it's nowhere near me. And then I get to sit and read for an hour, and that's when I can feel myself entering my body and going, okay, this is who I am. So that's me. Yeah.
I feel that very much because I have books in the morning and books at night. I feel like I'm saying a Dr. Seuss poem here, but it's the anchor to my day. It's what drives me in the morning. I feel like I'm a better person when I get 15 minutes to myself with a book. And then at night, right, you just close out whatever has happened in that day. You get to come back to your book.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because in the morning, what I anchor myself with is not fiction, but poetry. So that's how I'll start the day, and then I get that afternoon reading, and then I get that nighttime reading, and yeah, it's who I am.
Yeah. I have to read different. I like reading differently in morning versus night as well. I just my brain, I'm a
Absolutely.
morning person, so my brain is fresher. So I'm like, give me the stuff I want to digest a little bit more in the morning.
Yeah. Are you a coffee person too?
Oh, yes. Oh,
Okay, me
yes.
too. And that's the first thing that happens here is that the coffee maker goes off at 5 o'clock in the morning. And
Yeah.
and I am like you, a morning person, so it's pretty easy for me to get up. But that's the first thing that happens is the coffee gets poured and then I go upstairs and write.
Yeah. And you know you have words waiting you, which is
Yeah.
perfect. And it's easier to
Yeah.
get out of bed that way. Well, to bring this kind of full circle and talking about all of your books being centered in generationally in families now, right? Like I read these books as children and now my kids are reading them. What does that feel like knowing your stories are being read across generations and
Well,
families?
it's why I teared up when you were doing the introduction. And the first time I was aware of it, the first hint I had of that was I was in Connecticut, I think, and this is, I don't know, it was probably 10 years ago. And I had somebody come through a signing line who was, in her late 20s. And she said in this very offhand kind of way, my third grade teacher read, I was signing Winn-Dixie for her. My third grade teacher read this aloud to us. And and that's when I knew that I wanted to be a teacher. And now I'm reading it to my third graders. And I burst into tears when she
Yeah.
said this because it was like, and so now I've become a little bit more used to it, but it's one of those things where I can't fully comprehend it without being worried it's that thing of like, I can't think about it or else I'll mess up. It's just like it's a wonderful gift. Every once in a while I catch sight of it and then I think, yeah, not my business. Or as my best friend always says, not about you, pumpkin. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and imagine when you set out to write this, that wasn't even probably in your mind at all.
Oh no, it
Yeah.
wasn't. It was funny. I was talking to a group of third graders yesterday on Zoom and they wanted to know how many uh, copies of Winn-Dixie were in print. And I had an answer for them, and I'll tell it to you in a minute. But I backed up and said, when I wrote this, I was working in a book warehouse, and so I had a very realistic expectation for how many copies of a middle grade novel would sell, and I thought I'd be really lucky if 5,000 sold.
Yeah.
And it with that, that was all based on experience and what I saw in that book
Yeah.
warehouse. It was just like that was a big hope that would let me earn out my advance, and it would mean that I could then maybe do another book. And I remember this is before the 20th anniversary. Candlewick started to like do the numbers of how many were out there.
Yeah.
And I was at an event in DC, and somebody asked the question, how many copies have sold? And it's like, I don't know. And my publicist was there, Tracy Miracle, and she was in the back of the room and she said, I can tell you because we've just done the math. And at that point, it was 11 million. And again, what did I
Wow.
do? I burst into tears in front of everybody. It's just like, how can that be? And now it's
Yeah.
15 million. So,
Yeah. You
yeah.
sound just like me. My kids always know we'll get to like that point in the movie when the emotion starts building and they'll look over and, oh, mom's crying again. I'm like, yeah, I am.
It is a good thing to be able to do it, you
Yeah.
know?
You
Yeah.
feel it. I feel it
Yeah.
deeply. So,
Yeah. That's right. So do
yeah.
I. I feel the absolute impossibility and wonder of what has happened to me as a writer. So,
Yeah. When you were writing this book, you've already mentioned you were a childhood reader as well. There's so many themes in your books that resonate with children and resonate with adults. And I say this all the time on the podcast when we talk about children's books is parents, you should be loving the books your children are reading too, because there are so many wonderful books out there. It doesn't need, if you're not loving it, then switch it up and read something different. But were there books that you read as a child that just resonated with you and maybe you were like, I want to give that to children as well?
Yeah, I was I'm fond of saying that when I was a kid I read without discretion. It
Yeah.
was just like if it was a book, I loved it. And there were books that I came back to quite often and read and reread. Um, but and I tell this to kids all the time. I Even though I grew up in a house filled with books, had a mother who took me to the library and read to me, I did not think that human beings wrote books. It was nothing that I ever thought that I could do. So I didn't think, oh, I want to make somebody feel the way this makes me feel. But um, I, I loved books so much. I'm thinking of, I remember my mom reading Beverly Cleary's Ribsy out
Yeah.
loud to my brother and me, and I have like a flashbulb memory of, we were in the Florida room. We were on either side of her. Our dog was at our feet. And my mom got to this bit where she was laughing so hard that she was crying. And I had never seen that in an adult before. And I didn't know that it could happen. And I I did think then, what's it like to do something that makes somebody, all of us, respond this way? But I didn't think,
Yeah.
oh, I want to do it. It was just like, what a wonder that I get to live in this book with them.
Yeah. And we're experiencing it all together. And
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
there's so many benefits, I think, to reading aloud. I mean, we could probably go on and on for the
Oh, we
entire
could do
show.
we could talk about nothing else but reading aloud because it is and to my mind, and maybe somebody's doing all the science on it. There is something that is inexplicable about it, and the way I talk about the power of it, the way I talk about it is what happens is kind of everybody takes off their armor, the person who's reading
Yeah.
the story and the people who are listening, and you go into this third place where you meet each other as equals. And I don't know why it is so powerful. I think maybe it's just because it's who we are as human beings,
Yeah.
storytellers. But it is the greatest gift that you can give to your kids, to yourself. Um, and I always say to go home and read to your adult, go into a nursing home and read to somebody,
Yeah.
um, read to somebody in a hospital. It's a powerful thing. So,
Yeah. I just had someone share on my Bookish Flights social media page that she remembers her mom reading to her, and then her mom became blind later on in life, and she read to her mom. And I was like, what a beautiful, like, just thank you for sharing that, of the full circle moment of
absolutely.
mom
And
having read to daughter and then
yeah,
daughter reading to mom. And
yeah,
it's
that's
beautiful. It brought me
beautiful.
tears to my eyes,
Yeah,
speaking
right. I was
of.
going to say, let's cry together. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, this year marks the 20th anniversary of the miraculous journey of Edward Tulane. When you
Speaking
look,
of crying, yeah.
yeah, when you look back at the story now, what surprises you most about it and its lasting impact for us?
I Edward Tulane occupies a very unique, it's just um again, I'll take you to the signing line, and what I hear again and again from teachers as they read this book aloud to their students, and parents and kids. So teachers come through the signing line, tell me how again and again they cry as they're reading the end of this book, and sometimes their class cries with them. Sometimes some kid will come up and take the book from the teacher and read aloud to finish it because the
Oh,
teacher is crying so hard that she can't finish,
yeah,
or he can't finish. It's both. And they talk about how powerful it is for the kids to see them cry, and how powerful it is for them to cry together. And then when I have in a signing line a parent and a child who have read the book together, and I will turn to the parent and say, "Did you cry?" And they say, "Oh yeah, I couldn't stop crying." And I'll say to the kid, "Did you cry?" And they're like, "Yeah, no, I didn't cry." And so that's also super interesting to me because it means that the book is hitting on two different levels,
Yeah.
which is, I think, what you were saying in the beginning about kids reading, that when you're reading a book with a kid, you should enjoy it as much. And so it's just like it's that multi-level thing. And I cannot get over how that keeps on. I get letters about Edward Tulane every week. But the other miraculous thing, no pun intended, about Edward is there's a wonderful stage play by Dwayne Hartford that community theaters do. And it is a gorgeous, unbelievable play that just is really deeply moving. And I've gotten to see that. And also Edward's been turned into an opera. So
Wow.
it's all just here we are back to unbelievable again. Yeah.
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 Speaking of fifth grade or teachers, my best friend is a fifth grade teacher, and I know she reads this book with her class. So I reached out to her when I knew we were going to chat about this, and I was like, and they had just finished it for the year. I was like, does your class have any questions? So their main question was, she's like, the one I got the most was, where did you get the idea for Edward?
Yeah, it's funny. Wait a minute. I want to say, tell your friend thank
Yeah.
you for that reading aloud. And I actually, you want me to? I'll just go get where I got the idea. Okay,
Yeah.
can you hold on for a second?
Yeah,
Hold on.
absolutely.
A friend gave this to me, this rabbit, as a Christmas gift. And when she handed him to me, I said, "What's his name?" And she said, "Edward." And I
Oh,
said, "Thank you very much."
yeah.
And I came home and I put him on the couch in my living room. And like every time I walked in there, I like screamed a tiny scream because he's kind of like,
He's all dressed up. I
yeah,
love
he's
it.
kind of a little creepy looking maybe. And then the third night I had him, I dreamed about him kind of underwater,
Okay.
face down on the ocean floor, no clothing on,
Okay.
naked rabbit dream. And I thought, oh, that would be like a picture book, so
Yeah.
I started with that image, and the story just kind of told itself.
She told me that it's my favorite book for character development, and she's like, and we'll change the clothes. So they start with a naked rabbit and then they change the clothes as the book goes on as
Oh,
they're
that's
reading.
fantastic.
So,
Tell her
but
thank you. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. Well, what do you think gives children's books or yours in particular that staying power where they're still with us 20 years, 25 years later?
I can't speak to my work, but exactly what happened the first time I caught sight of this generational thing is part of why children's books last longer, is because you have a memory of a teacher
Yeah.
reading a book to you, and then you want to give that exact same magic to the kids, either your own children or the kids that you're teaching. And it's funny because this is one of my favorite cocktail questions. Um, um, do you remember your teacher reading aloud to you? And it doesn't matter if the adult is a reader or not. Um, Everybody's face changes for a second, and
Oh,
then they can tell you the name of the teacher and the name of the book that like just kind of like grabbed them, and so I think that we carry children's books within us in a different way. We just get them at we're really very impressionable. It's funny
Yeah.
because I'm good friends with Ann Patchett, who writes for adults, and we're both Peanuts fans. And we went and did a thing at the Charles Schulz Museum together. And Anne
Okay.
up there on stage said something that I think about quite often, which is she got Peanuts when she was a kid, and it shaped and informed her way more than Madame Bovary did. Which, and so it is that thing of it, like children's books mold us, and we remember them, and we carry them within us. When I worked at a used bookstore, every once in a while somebody would come in looking for a book that they remembered when they were a kid, and every once in a while I was able to put it in their hands. And it was like you'd knocked them off their feet,
Yeah.
you know? It was just like it was a physical reaction to hold that book that they remembered from being a kid. So that's a really long answer. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
No, as you're talking, I'm just thinking it's that pivotal moment, I think, when you realize what reading can do for you. And there's that one book from your childhood I think most of us could pinpoint is that's where it opened my whole world.
Yeah. 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 And for me, oh God. Well, actually, it's like I'm just all the book images that are flipping through my head, and
Yeah.
it's just like, how could I put it down to just one? But yeah, it's so I love talking about it so much because it does, whether you become a writer or whether you're a reader or not, it's still that thing where it is this really powerful thing
Yeah.
that resonates for the rest of your life. Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you to all those teachers and parents, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even on those hard days, parents, when you're like, oh, I'm so tired, I really don't want to do this, just dig in because it really is so impactful for
Yeah.
your children and for you.
Yep. And for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as a writer, is there anything that still surprises you about writing after having written for so many years?
How hard it is. It's one of those things where you think maybe you would have figured out how to do it, but each story
Yeah.
needs a different thing. So uh, it's like I've given up on the idea that I'm going to figure out how to do it, but um, I guess I am surprised by the fact that that the thing that I've known for a long time, that showing up every day can sometimes change the course of a story that's not working. So it's kind of like that relentlessness that produces wonders. Yeah.
Yeah. I am actually not a writer myself, but is there, and also, like you said, maybe that relentless pursuit of it's never getting easier. Does that keep bringing you back too, of like, I'm going to get there, I'm going to get there? Is there any of that or not really?
No, there
Okay.
isn't, where I don't think I'm gonna get there. And also, like I'm 62 now, and I've been writing very regularly, golly, for 32 years. And where I am now is less hoping that it gets easier and that I figure it out, and more like, let me keep on doing this for as long as I can because it gives shape and meaning to my days. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, oh, so many moments I'm like, oh, you're hitting me with these emotions. Is there a book that you wish that each adult out there could read through a child's eyes just once?
It's a wonderful question. And I guess it doesn't necessarily have to be a kid's book to do that. It's that thing
Yeah.
of this gets at something that I have. Um, can I give you a long answer?
Yeah.
Um, I remember when Dixie got published, and one of the first interviews I did, the interviewer asked me, how do you get into the mind of a 10-year-old? And I was kind of gobstopped by the question because the answer was so obvious to me. I was a 10-year-old.
Mhm.
But I've realized after doing this for a while, and this brings me back to Beverly Cleary for a minute, and I didn't fully get it until she was maybe 90 years old at this point and being interviewed. And she put her hand over her heart and said, that 10-year-old that I am is right here on the surface all the time. And I thought, oh, that's me too. That has been, it's not that way for a lot of people. A lot of people just absolutely don't want or forget about that kid. And for whatever reason, that kid is who I read with and
Mhm.
who I write with. So for the adult reader who I wish could read a book and respond to it, through the eyes of a child, I would give them Charlotte's Web.
Oh,
Come back,
yeah.
come back to that because it presents the wonder and the pain of childhood better than any book I know. It's that thing of, again, my best friend who I wrote a long speech about using Charlotte's Web once, and I remember her reading that book again and again as a kid. And it's just like, what in the world? What did you think it would turn out different? Do you remember, And she said, no, I didn't think it would turn out differently, but it was all so beautiful. And I thought I couldn't bear it. And then I found that I could bear it. And
Yeah.
it's that thing that I wish that adults could experience. And I think that that's what literature can do is it can tell you the truth and help you bear the truth. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love when you can do that and walk in someone else's shoes because in that sense of where you're would I respond the same? Or it helps you process the emotions of what happens in Charlotte's Web or whatever book that you're reading. So maybe next time, you're not alone when you feel that way. Or, like you said,
Absolutely.
the bearing of that
Yeah.
and
So,
processing.
and it is that thing where sometimes, and we do have the science on that of empathy
Yeah.
from reading, and that, when you read, he picked up the pencil, those same neurons fire in your brain as if you were picking up a pencil.
Yeah.
And so it is that thing of like, it helps you understand yourself, it helps you understand somebody else, it makes you feel less alone. And it's a miraculous gift. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're already kind of venturing into reading. So let's switch gears a little bit and talk
Okay.
about who you are as a reader. And you've already, one of my questions is we're all so busy, but you've already kind of answered how you squeeze reading into your life, that you kind of shut down at 3 o'clock and that's reading time.
Yeah, it's the best. Do you see the dreamy look on my face? Yeah, and it is not and it's one of the things that when I was ambassador, I would for children's literature, I would go around saying is like we need to like remind kids and each other of what a privilege and a joy this is. Because I think so often parents are worried about kids reading, send them off to read. You have to go read.
Yeah.
And so one of the best things that you can do for kids and their reading life is to remind them again and again that it is a joy and a privilege and to let them see you
Hmm.
reading it yourself for yourself, it is this great sustaining thing. So that reading is my reward. And like I said, it is also like it's kind of physically necessary for me. It's just
Yeah.
like that is when I am most present with myself. It's almost meditative. So yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful. What genres do you gravitate towards?
I mostly read, for lack of a better word, literary fiction,
Hmm.
um, and that tends to be realistic, but I can go down the rabbit hole of uh, like right now. I've become a very big rereader, and I think part of that is age. Um, uh, because you come back to something and you read it in a totally different way. And
Yeah.
part of it was the pandemic. It was just like, oh, okay, here I am with all these books. Let's see. Oh, yeah, this is great. So like right now, I'm rereading The Once and Future King by T.H. White, which is just like, and that's deep fantasy, but I'm not really a fantasy person. I'm more, realistic literary fiction. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I ask all of our guests to bring three books in the form of a book flight. Can you tell us how you chose these books?
I have the longest category in the world for my book flight. It is books that I routinely reread
Okay.
that I love so much that I want other people to read, that I loan out, and then sometimes when I go to reread it, cannot find it on my shelf. So there's a wonderful quote from Benjamin Franklin when somebody was in his library and asked if they could borrow a book. And Benjamin Franklin said, "Only a fool loans books. See all these books? They once belonged to fools." So, and I'm always with these three books in my flight. One of them I do not have because I gave it to somebody to read, but I can talk about it
I think
intelligently anyway. Yeah.
that's such a gift of friendship is when you are reading a book and you think about that friend or that family member or that person and you're like, you know what? They should read this book because something in the book is triggering you to remember them. And I think it's just such a wonderful way to say, I'm thinking of you and I thought you'd really enjoy this book. I think,
Right. And
yeah,
it's also that thing of you want somebody, when you love somebody and you've read something that moves you deeply, you want to talk to somebody who looks at the world the same way about that book. It is a way, it's connection. Yeah.
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 Yeah. I love sending happy little book mail of I was thinking I'm a military spouse. Actually, I didn't say that earlier, but we move quite frequently. So I'm always worried my books are going to put us over the weight limit because there is a weight limit that we can send as we move around. So a lot of times, and I'm not at this point in my life a rereader. So a lot of times I'll pop a note in the mail with a book and send it to a friend that I haven't seen in a while and say, "Hey." And I'm usually like, "Don't bother sending it back. You can pass it along to someone else you think that would love it." It's like a book distribution system.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
great. And I know that about books and moving, not that I move a lot, but it is the thing that always like, reduces you to tears. And then once you have them arranged, you think it was worth everything, right?
Yeah.
That's how I feel safe is to have the books around me.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, what did you ask me a question in there? No.
No, I was just commenting
Okay, all
on
right,
gifting
okay,
of
all right.
books and friendship and connection, but we're good. So, what is the first book you brought today?
I'm gonna hold it up because this one has been returned to me. Foster by Claire Keegan. Have you
What a
read it?
great, no, but the cover is draws me right in.
And look at this.
Yeah.
Look how slender it is.
Okay.
And it is it it's it originally appeared actually as a short story in the New Yorker, and this is just a little bit longer um,
Okay.
than it was then turned into a novel. Um, it is it is a master class in how to write,
Okay.
and it is a master class in what fiction can do in that very thing that we were talking about and imagining our way into another world. And this has also been made into a movie, which is very true to the book and worth
Okay.
seeing. And it and it's about a kid. So it is, and actually, this is very interesting because it's the writer is Irish, and I think that I think this is assigned reading in all the schools in Ireland, this book.
Wow,
So
I
it
love that.
could technically almost be a kid's book as well.
Okay.
And I cannot recommend it to you highly enough. I can't give it to you because we're not right here. But if you
Yeah.
were right here, you would leave with this book and then I would not have it anymore. And but and I I go to this book when I want to be reminded of what is necessary in a story is simplicity of language, and that you don't need uh, bells and whistles. You
Yeah.
just need to get to somebody's heart. E.B. White does this too so brilliantly. It is that thing where you look and think, well, wait a minute, E.B. White is using the same words that everybody else is using, but yet they do this extra work. Claire
Mhm.
Keegan does that too in this book in Foster, but it's with E.B. White, I figured out, I think he rests more of his heart on each word, and that's why it's so powerful. And the
Yeah.
same thing with Claire Keegan. So,
What a beautiful way to say that.
yeah.
Wow. I mean, that's going to be what I'm going to marinate on all day today.
Yeah, and get yourself a copy of this. Like I said, I would give it to you, but you're not
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I love that you said it's a pretty short novel, so really easy and accessible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and a wonderful thing just to it's I like books to or do you read physical books or do you read
I prefer physical books. Sometimes with the busyness of life, it's audiobooks, also Kindle books, and so it's but my preference would be physical.
and this is such as somebody who like pays attention to trim size
Yeah.
and how it feels in the hand, this is such a gift as a physical book,
Okay. I'll
Yeah.
grab myself a copy.
All
So that
right.
was
Okay, good. I
Foster
think I
by
sold
Claire
that
Keegan.
one. Yeah.
Yes.
This one, I
Yes.
know because yeah.
But go ahead, you
And
introduce it.
so Gilead by Marilyn Robinson. And again, it's funny because I remember right before this book came out, the New Yorker ran part of it as a short story
Okay.
in the magazine. And I remember exactly where I was when
That.
I read that. And I thought, what in the world? I mean, I just was knocked off my feet by it. It's that scene, and this won't give anything away for the people who haven't read it. The bit that was in the New Yorker is when he's with his grandfather and they're walking through Kansas and the and his grandfather is praying and he as a child notices that the sun is setting at the same time that the moon is coming up and it is so beautiful and otherworldly and his grandfather is on his knees praying and he doesn't want to disturb him but he wants him to see this miracle and he takes his hand and he kisses it and
Yeah.
his grandfather looks up. Do you remember that?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I just and so the book it's like uh some people will just be listening to this but like I it is so dog-eared and underlined and in the same way that I go back to Claire Keegan for that that clarity of language. I go back to Marilyn Robinson in this book for understanding how to put the spirit on the page, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah. So, and it is just suffused with light, this book. And talk about rereading. Um, to have, let's see, I can remember, like I said, where I was when I read it in the New Yorker. So that would have been, I remember that house that
Oh,
was 20 years ago.
yeah.
And then to come back to it again and again as I age and to find something new in it each time. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that right there is the power of books, as you were mentioning earlier. I mean, you can remember to the exact moment 20 years ago when you
Yep.
read it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I can. And it just, and it's like, let me go get that book immediately. Yeah. And so,
Yeah.
I can't believe that there are people out there who haven't read Gilead, but every once in a while, you encounter them.
Yeah.
And so when I went to get this one off the shelf, guess what? There were three others.
So you got
So
some gifts to give away.
yeah, so that one I can give away before I'm left with nothing.
Yeah.
And then my third book is by a British writer, Jane Gardam, called Old Filth. And it is the story of a life told in like in a back and forth tacking kind of motion, and how um, this the protagonist, Old Filth, is a judge, but he was raised. I won't do plot summary because I hate plot summary. Um, but it is a book that helps you see a life as a whole, see the child in the adult, which that goes back to that thing of like we forget.
Yeah.
So many of us that we're always carrying that child inside of us. And this is a book that shows how the child that we were informs the adult that we become, and we never put that child down. And there's a moment of grace at the end of this book that I come back to again and again, and I cannot come back to it now because I gave that book to somebody
Yeah.
and I do not have it on the shelf. And so this will probably be the sixth time that I've gone to buy a copy of Old Filth. And I would like to say I'm happy to do it.
Yeah.
Um, but I wish that I had it so I could hold it up and show it to you. Yeah. And again, I would say run, don't walk to your nearest bookstore and get a copy of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love what we're doing here, right? Is we're putting books in the hands, and that's exactly what your flight kind of sounds like, is putting books in the hands of people that need it and that story that's waiting for them, and just knowing what a gift it is.
Yeah, and it is one of the most exciting things in the world still to me. It's like, I was a bookseller for a while. That thing about being able to like put a book in somebody's hands, have them come back to the store and say, do you have anything else like that?
Yeah.
And it's just like it is because again, it's connection, it's conversation, it's everything. Do you want to tell me? Do you want to tell me the book that I have to read?
Oh, it's funny that as you were just finishing up what you were saying there, the book that popped into my mind was Theo of Golden by Alan Levy.
I
Have you
have
read it?
seen that everywhere. I've seen it in bookstores and I've admired the cover and I have not read it.
Yeah,
Did you loved it?
I loved it. I think it is, just to give you do you know what it's about? Would you like me to give you a
It
quick?
is about a person that kind of changes people's lives.
Yes, yeah, and it's basically stems from a coffee shop. It's actually a real coffee shop in Columbus, Georgia, that has pencil drawn images of various people around the town. And so I think, from my understanding, the author, Alan, had visited this and he's like, what if I wrote a story about what these pictures or these portraits are on the wall? And in the story, Theo, the character, starts buying these portraits off the wall because they're for sale. And he tries to find the person and
Oh,
understand a bit about who they are. So there's a lot of connection. There's tons of just these wonderful themes of what it is to be seen in the community through our faults, and a lens of we all are a bit broken, but Theo really getting to the heart of who this person is and letting them feel seen. And
wow,
it's
that's
stunning.
fabulous. And also, like again, this goes back to me as the bookseller and me talking about how the trim size here is so good. Theo of Golden, because like I can pull up that cover in my head from
Yeah.
like, it is like that is beautifully designed. It is a
Yeah.
beautiful book to look at. Yeah. And
Yeah.
and you want to make something that people want to pick up and
Yeah.
hold. Yeah.
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 I love that. And I didn't know this about you, but you've had so many facets in the literary world outside of just being a writer, so many different points.
Yeah, and I've never had a real job. That probably the most pivotal thing for me was when I moved here when I was 30 years old and got that job at the book warehouse, the book
Yeah.
distributor. And that changed my life in
Yeah.
every possible way because I was on the third floor of that warehouse and that's where the children's books were.
Wow.
And yeah, and I entered into that job with, I think, a bias that a lot of adult readers have. Oh, children's
Yeah.
books. Yeah,
Hmm.
duckies and bunnies.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I started to kind of read my way through that warehouse floor and it changed me. Yeah.
Wow. I love that. I did not know that. I learned something. I mean, obviously I learned so much about you today, but that is just being
More
that.
than you would ever want to know. Yeah.
Well, how I love to end our show is with our speed round of questions you can answer really quick. And then normally my first one is, are you a rereader? Which you've already answered. But where is your favorite place to read?
It depends on the time of year. I've got a library chair in the living room where I sit in front of the fireplace in the wintertime. In the summertime, I'm often on the front porch. And in between time, I'm upstairs in the attic office, and I've got a great chair to read in there. So,
Okay. Well, I'm going to revisit the rereading question. What book do you think you've reread the most?
oh, that's very easy because this was before I started to become an inveterate rereader. This was just a book that kept on getting pulled back to again and again and again since I was young, and it is a biography
Okay.
of the writer Isaac Dennison by Judith Thurman. It's called Isaac Dennison, The Life of a Storyteller. And
Okay.
I have probably read that, oh, 30 times easily.
Okay.
And I'm
I got
getting
it.
ready to reread it again. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
drawing you back.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then lastly, what are you reading next?
And now I'm looking around the house. So, I will reread that biography next, but and I've got the Once and Future King down here
Yeah.
for reading, and I've got Claire Lombardo's Same as It Ever Was.
Yeah.
That is next up for evening reading, and I'm finishing up a Kate Atkinson. I love Kate Atkinson, British writer who writes mysteries and literary fiction, and I'm finishing up a mystery of hers, like Murder at the Sign of the Rook, I think is what it's called.
Okay.
So.
I love her books too. For getting it, you just feel like you're traveling through the pages with her writing.
Right, and
She does
she's
it
so
so well.
funny, so
Yeah.
funny. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show with me this morning. It was an absolute honor to have you.
Oh, it was so much fun to do this. Thank you for having me.
You're
Yeah.
welcome. Thank you so much for listening to this episode today with Kate DiCamillo. Her book flight includes books that she routinely rereads that she wants to press into the hands of all readers. You can find all the books that we talked about today at bookishflights.com. If you enjoyed the show, please head over to Apple Podcasts and leave a review. Your review not only helps the show, but it also helps the podcast to reach others. Make sure you are subscribed on Apple Podcasts or Spotify to make sure you will not miss an episode. That's it for today. Thank you so much for listening. As Emma Thompson said, I think books are like people in the sense that they'll turn up in your life when you most need them. Cheers to you, dear readers. Until next time.